We're here to talk about the art of the Bureau for Connected Digital World.
Hi, Andrew from Connected Digital World here. I recently visited 2K Marin Studios in San Francisco to take a look at the Bureau XCOM Declassified. While I was at the studio, I got to see a lot more of the game and also talk to various people who were involved in its creation. This video is part one of a two-part interview with Jeff Weir, who's the art director on the Bureau XCOM Declassified. We talk about his role as art director, some of the influences he used for the game, and a lot more. Enjoy part one. Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Jeff Weir, the art director on the Bureau XCOM Declassified.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about what your job as art director entails.
Yeah. Well, basically, I'm in charge of the entire visual vision for the game. So that means thinking of, meshing it to the story, meshing it to the gameplay, and making a world that's really cohesive and matches our goals overall. So I'm in charge of, everything from people to weapons to characters, to environments, alien goo, whatever it might be, everything. And basically work with a team of like 40 artists together to make that vision come to life. And it's a really collaborative process between all the people in concept, people in modeling, people in animation.
So do you want to walk us through your process for creating something, whether it be a weapon, be it an alien,
Yes.
or be it an environment?
Every pipeline is different. For levels, for example, we'll have like a broad idea of what we want to do for the level in terms of its place in the story or its place in gameplay if it's farther on in the game and we want to introduce some enemies and that kind of thing. We'll have a high level pitch, and that pitch will then go to a core level team, which includes a level designer, a level environment artist, and some supporting modelers. And together they'll draw a paper map out, and I'll come up with a series of beats that kind of describe what that level could be. And they pitch that level back to the director group, and we work together to come out with an idea that works really well together, and that iterates for a number of times. And then finally we go to what's called a gray block stage, where we start actually just doing things out in a really sort of easily to mold and move around type of gray world, like no detail at all. This is where the beats are and things. They might have labels saying this is now a store, but it's not really a store yet, that kind of thing. And then we go through and lay in some basic gameplay and start to see if it feels right, and then start moving around the big chunks until it flows nicely, and then finally start adding in the texture and the lighting, and finally all the story elements like the view comes in last and all that kind of thing, all to make the finished level.
And how long does that process take?
It takes a long time.
I bet.
A long time. I mean, altogether, I would say no less than 6 months. To take it from idea all the way to the end. It's quite a process of iteration and growth and knowledge and learning. I mean, it's really, I said, we're very iterative. We like to sort of try it out and see how it works, then change it, and then try things out. No level in this game is how it was originally. Every level's been adjusted and tweaked. To get to where.
And in fact, you just pretty much almost answered the question I was going to ask you. How much has what you've worked on early on in the game changed to where we are today, just about to launch?
Yeah, quite significantly. For the game that we saw in 2010, it was a lot more sort of a game about investigation. It was not really about fighting the aliens. It was about sort of, what are these weird things off in the corner if we don't know what they are, and the gameplay there required these more abstract aliens, whereas now we're literally fighting the aliens. We needed someone that could actually telegraph on the battlefield what I'm going to do next. That didn't mean we couldn't use a lot of abstract forms as much, because this didn't really seem as right for the type of gameplay we were trying to hit. So that made a big change in terms of the aliens. And we also really wanted to make them more like XCOM and bring in those sectoids in and bring the mutants and ones that are just classic to XCOM. And that meant changing the look of it as well. But in terms of the settings, we learned a lot about gameplay and what actually felt right and felt good. And that required changing from more places that are more quarter-like to places that are more open and allowed for, you'd be able to flank the enemies or do other kind of cool tactical choices like that.
how much work did you do with Firaxis with the original artwork and the original designs from XCOM to where we are today?
Yeah, so we definitely asked them for everything that they had, and they sent us a bunch of cool stuff concepts and models, and again got to see all the things from their ethereal to their sectoid and all those kind of all the fun guys in there. And we actually did use their sectoid in the game, modified slightly. Ours is enslaved to our new race called the Zujari. They're the kind of master race for our game, and so they have a slave collar that has attached to these kind of horrible kind of tubes that stick into their arms and basically sort of control them as they do the bidding of the Zujari. So they appear in the game, and also we have the Muton that was heavily inspired by theirs, but not really the same as ours is wearing Zujari armor, so it's a lot more big and hulking and literally more Hulk-like.
Obviously, what were the influences you used? Because you've got one section of the game which obviously is all sort of 1960s America, and then you've got another element which is obviously all these futuristic aliens and ships and weapons. So what did you use as influences on both of those?
Yeah. So for the 60s stuff, I mean, a lot of it was photographic references, looking at those classic American shots. There's so much stuff online now, it's amazing. In addition to that, we also collected a series of catalogs, like Spiegel and Sears catalogs, that had great reference on costuming and hairstyles of the period, and really helped us hit that period nicely. For the aliens, that was more of a I came from this us experimenting with what it meant to be Zujari. They're a very harsh, militant, kind of a industrial race. We wanted to really, we're inspired a lot by the Industrial Revolution and the looks of that kind of machinery, and it also the Arconans of Dune were also a big inspiration in terms of their gross, putrid, kind of messy stuff that they have going on in their world. And we also wanted to make some aliens that really fit the world in terms of what they're doing, in terms of xenoforming, transforming our world into theirs. And so that's when we started. We started with the seeds. Basically, this thing that actually grows everything out, and sort of imagine them, starting underneath underground, basically creating new structures and what that actually meant from that point, and what they actually would make eventually. It was turned into the towers. They're kind of almost like they're sort of metal trees, I guess. These huge enormous trees that sort of sprout up and sort of are the main conduits between the different battlefronts they have in the war.
I mean, the artwork's amazing. Obviously, we can see some of it behind you. Have you got plans to release an art book?
Not that I'm aware of yet, right now, sadly. But I'm sure there's some opportunities to do other stuff that relates to the artwork later on.
Looks like that's the bastard in charge.
That's it for part 1. If you'd like to watch part 2, click on the link on the screen now. And if you'd like to see some exclusive gameplay footage of the first mission, click on the link on the screen as well. And why not subscribe to us for more gameplay footage, exclusive interviews and lots more by clicking on the subscribe button on the screen now.